We only have a few days left, and there will be a burst of such magnitude that it will be hard not to notice. All negative, toxic people will die very quickly. The burst will trigger a chain of events that will change our lives and the life of every person on this planet forever. We only have a few days left. Already on September 23rd, 2025, an event of planetary scale will occur. A massive stream of energy, high-frequency energy, will descend upon the Earth. And there will be a flash of such power that it will be hard not to notice. And the flash will trigger a chain of events that will change our lives, the life of every person on this planet forever.
Should we be preparing for this flash? Will it affect certain specific people or everyone, regardless of whether you're prepared or not? So what should we actually do? Will it just happen and that's it?
The flash will affect all people, absolutely everyone living on the planet, and not just people, but the planet as a whole and the animal world too. But it affects everyone differently. People can be divided into two groups. There are people who really love life and who want to live. They have this love for life, a thirst for living. Their traits are that they are very positive people. They see beauty in everything. They have a positive attitude toward any events. They engage in creativity. They create things. They want to give something to this world. And many of them really do help others. And then there is a second group of people who have a negative outlook. You could say that, in fact, they are drawn toward death because nothing pleases them. Everything is always bad for them. They are constantly negative, criticize everything, complain, as if they are already tired of this life, as if they want to leave. And this is not exactly a punishment. It's not that someone is doing it on purpose, but this energy simply illuminates everything, all true desires, and it amplifies them. And those who truly want to live will live very well, and their true desires will be fulfilled. As for those who want to die, all the negative, toxic people, they will die very quickly. In fact, this is already happening. I see that a lot of people have suddenly started getting sick. I see a lot of cancer cases, new ones, seemingly out of nowhere. And people are literally burning out. This is what's happening right now. But there will be even more of this.
Are there any signs in a person who is at risk, someone who might catch some kind of disease?
Each person needs to very honestly and consciously analyze their thoughts throughout the day. What percentage of their waking hours does a person spend in positive emotions, and how much of their attention is focused on the positive aspects of life, on beauty, on creation? And how much of the day does a person spend complaining, being negative, writing negative comments, feeling afraid, anxious, or arguing with someone? And it's actually very easy to understand. So if a person spends more than half their time in negativity and sometimes even thinks about being tired of living, the subconscious and the universe, they can't be deceived. If a person, even without admitting it to themselves, sometimes thinks about being tired of living, that is their true desire, and it will come to pass.
So we've understood how a person feels when this is happening, but what is actually happening to the person?
What's happening? If we look at what's really happening, for some time now, over the past year, new energies have been constantly descending to Earth. What's happening? In these energies, all emotional and energetic blocks are being revealed, so to speak. And because of this, many people are experiencing strange illnesses and unusual pains. For example, they have headaches, migraines start, or they get pain in their back, lower back, or knees without any physiological reason. A lot of people even go to see a doctor. For example, they start having arrhythmia, and doctors can't find any causes because the reasons aren't physiological, but energetic. All the emotional negativity that has accumulated, maybe not even in just one life, but over many lives, is starting to come to the surface. And this manifests not to punish people, but so that they become aware that besides the physical body and the physical world, there are also emotional and energetic aspects. And all this baggage they need to let go of. And if they can let it go, they will move to a better branch of probabilities.
The start has already begun. But when this date comes, what will be the difference?
I see that September 23rd will be like a point of no return. That is, with each new stage of this transition, it becomes increasingly difficult to change the branch you are on, because some people will be moving sharply upward, while others will be sliding downward. And with each such important milestone, this will intensify many times over. And it will simply become more difficult, because if before, for example, a person just felt tired or bored or a bit apathetic, now this will be amplified many times. And already, let's say compared to mild apathy, it's much harder to change something when it's severe depression. But that's just one example. If it's some other condition, it will also get worse, and it will be even harder to find the strength and energy to change something.
And what will happen, say, with global events where things were already bad, right? Let's say things start to get bad in India. Will a catastrophe happen there then?
But it's also important to understand here, good for whom? Because different people have completely different ideas of what good means. And collective intention will matter, where people are striving, what kind of good they're aiming for. Those countries that, for example, strive to live in harmony with nature, that are engaged in environmental efforts, their progress in this area will only intensify, and this beauty will become even more pronounced. For example, in the post-Soviet space, many people missed the Soviet Union and wanted to return. And for them, that's a good thing, and it will return, it will come back. There will be even more of the Soviet Union. But by the way, I don't even see this as a bad thing. That is, for many people, this will be good. As for certain climate changes, they are happening too. They are already happening now. By the way, not many people are talking about this for some reason. But what do we see? We see that the climate in Russia is changing dramatically, with very tropical downpours that never happened before. In Siberia, it's suddenly getting warm, and there are no longer such cold winters. So it turns out that Russia is returning to its warm tropical climate, which, by the way, once existed in this region. I can't say exactly which years, but I remember that there used to be such a warm climate there. At the same time, Europe will be getting colder. For example, in England, Norway, and Germany, the temperature will be dropping. I can't say whether that's good or bad either. It's all relative. Some people might actually like that it's gotten colder and that there's a snowy winter. There are fans of everything after all. Now, here are the real risks that I see. Well, in the foreseeable future, specifically in Turkey, there will be more earthquakes in the Istanbul area, and there will be tsunamis in the USA. We also shouldn't forget about Yellowstone, the supervolcano, which, according to all scientific data, is expected to erupt this century. And there's also a high probability that in the near future, though I won't say this fall, but within the next 3 years, it could erupt. And then for 3 years, there will be no sun. Only truly positive people will be able to survive in such conditions.
Everyone needs to stock up on heaters.
Yes, heaters and some kind of additional equipment.
Gasoline generators.
Yes.
Everyone move countryside. Survive apartment.
By the way, I also want to talk about apartments. I can see this trend, it's already happening, and it's only going to get stronger. Especially after the surge, after September, more and more conscious people will be leaving big cities, because there was a time when people all lived on the land, when they received a lot of energy from nature, and they also grew their own food, at least it was naturally grown, and they got a lot of energy from that food as well. What happened? This probably happened about 200 years ago, when more and more industrial cities started to appear. People began living in small concrete boxes, and in recent years, it has even become prestigious to live in skyscrapers, higher and higher. In other words, people switched to food delivery. So what do we have as a result? A modern person like this is completely deprived of contact with the earth. He eats food from delivery, which is also devoid of energy. And they see this as a good thing, like everything is so advanced, so high-tech. But in reality, they become completely dependent and have even less energy. And any kind of failure, any surge, any blackout, if delivery stops, if the elevators shut down, they end up in a very vulnerable position. That's why those who have at least some intuition will move towards the countryside, towards some rural settlements, houses, and many will start growing their own food. By the way, that's something I already see many people doing in Australia. It's considered very trendy and prestigious to grow your own natural food.
And I want to remind you that Natalia has a Telegram channel Subscribe to stay up to date with all the news. The link is below this video. Is there anything important we should manage to do in these days before the X date?
Absolutely important. Prepare yourself, and the main preparation is working with your energy body and your emotions. Cleansing yourself of negative baggage, of negative emotions, working on accepting yourself in this world, and tuning into higher frequencies. At the end, I did a really great practice and will help a little with that, and I'll also offer a gift on this topic.
What will happen to the souls who didn't make it, who were disembodied? What awaits such souls next?
I have a few hypotheses about what will happen to them. I've studied this question a lot. The first is that possibly they will remain in the astral for a long time and won't be able to find an incarnation unless they are found some other planets with lower vibrations and are moved there. But this decision will be made, let's say, by the higher guardians who can organize such a relocation, or they will have to wait in the astral for a long time until such an opportunity is given to them, because on Earth there won't be a place for low vibration souls for the foreseeable, very long future.
And what about those who make it through? Let's put it this way then.
Those who make it through will have a choice. They can either stay on Earth, and after the transition, things on Earth will actually be very good. There will be different laws and new opportunities. There will be fewer people, but they will be more civilized and conscious, and a very pleasant golden age will begin. Also, for those who are able to raise their vibrations to a high level, especially extraterrestrial souls, since there are many ancient souls and extraterrestrial souls on our planet who arrived here at different times, some recently, some a very long time ago, and many of them would like to return to their own civilizations, which are much more advanced and much higher in vibration. Many will be given the opportunity to return to their own worlds.
So, starting from the very moment on the 23rd, what things should not be done in order to avoid accidentally falling under? I don't know, maybe karma will intensify or something else will happen.
I would say that you need to pay attention to your intentions, because the higher the vibrations, the more this new energy descends, the faster intentions are realized. And intention is often even more important than the action itself. And very few people actually think about this. For example, when you wish something for yourself, or even think something like, I wish you all would just die, or I wish I would die. Even these kinds of random thoughts, even if a person doesn't say it out loud, but thinks it strongly. That is, an intention backed by emotion has power. So it's really important to watch your intentions and your emotions, because often people, out of anger, can't control their rage, can't control their irritation, and end up making these kinds of rash intentions. And that's because things will happen very quickly. And when people talk about karma, everyone always says, yes, you did something good or you did something bad. But that's not deep enough for real understanding. Because before a person acts, they already have some kind of intention, right? And so you need to take a step back and pay attention to what was there even before the action itself.
The dark forces, so are they actually being expelled from the earth? Or are they not being expelled? What is happening to them? And what are they doing right now?
There's an interesting story about the dark forces. I recently did a channeling session, and it turns out that the dark forces are mainly the reptilian race, though there are a few others. They mostly appeared here about 1,000 years ago because they lost their planet, and since they had nowhere else to go, they managed to move here. And for 1,000 years, they have been parasitizing, constantly maintaining a system where people live in fear, where people live in negativity because they need these negative emotions. But now it's not even that they're being expelled, it's more like they just don't fit into the overall evolutionary plan. According to the general plan, Earth is transitioning to higher vibrations. And since reptilian entities and other dark entities belong to low vibrations, they simply won't be able to live here, and they will be forced to leave. It's like making an analogy. If the temperature were to rise, for example, right now it's 30 degrees, but if the comfortable temperature became 40, you could still tolerate it. 50 would be very difficult, and 60. And those who can't withstand this high temperature will simply leave. If you keep heating up a sauna, it gets hotter and hotter. Some people can tolerate it, while others will leave, some will adapt, and some won't be able to.
The new world and artificial intelligence. So, is this their last chance? The dark forces' last chance to stay on Earth? Or what is it?
I think that artificial intelligence was created right now for a reason. And I don't see it as something that comes specifically from the dark forces. Artificial intelligence is supposed to replace all the people who will leave. After all, there are a lot of people who essentially function like a tool. These are robot-like people doing simple mechanical work that intelligence can easily handle. But intelligence can't do a lot of things. It can't love, it can't be truly empathetic, it can imitate empathy, but not fully. For example, it can't be a healer, it can't be a guide, it can't channel energy. There are many things it can't do. It can't create something fundamentally new, some kind of beauty or creativity, because only a human can channel energies, only a human can create something truly genius. And it is precisely those people who do things that artificial intelligence cannot do who will remain. But those who are essentially like robots, who live on autopilot, who have no dreams or sense of purpose, they are the ones who will be leaving.
They will leave through illness, disasters, and cataclysms.
Through illnesses, through new viruses that will emerge, and through wars as well, possibly yes, and through cataclysms seem less likely to me. So it's more about wars, illnesses, and viruses.
Regarding world wars, will everything come to an end? Or on the contrary, do we need to go all out with war, push it to 400%, squeeze out everything possible and survive?
I recently did a very deep and insightful channeling session that was specifically about the past. And there was a time on Earth when there were no wars. Wars actually started not that long ago. And wars began precisely when people, first of all, stopped feeling themselves as part of a unified whole and started seeing themselves as separate. That is, as individuals surrounded by a hostile world. And people's fear began to intensify. And because of this fear, they started to have more and more desire to fight. After all, even now, if you really think about it and look at why people go to war, it's as if they want to protect themselves, thinking that if we don't fight them, they'll destroy us. And it seems to them that they're acting rationally. So here too there will be division. That is, some people will want to fight even more. They'll become even more afraid because this fear and anxiety will keep growing. And it's precisely those people who will continue to fight who will be the ones to leave. And that's exactly how the Earth's population will decrease. Those people who don't want to fight will want to fight even less. And they'll become even more aware of themselves as part of a single whole, a unified life. And it is precisely these people who will go through the quantum transition and become those who will live in the new world after the transition.
Many people live in negativity. It's the plan of the dark forces too.
Yes, absolutely right. It was exactly the dark forces that instilled and implanted this program, the idea that life is suffering. And if you carefully read the main books, you'll notice that this runs, so to speak, as a common thread throughout. That life is suffering, that you have to suffer, and that the more you suffer, the better. And this idea became so deeply ingrained and was hammered in for so long that many people came to believe it, that suffering is normal for a person. However, there were times in the past when this wasn't the norm, when it was normal to feel joy. Because on this planet, we have everything we need to be happy. There are enough resources, beautiful nature, the ocean, the sea, everything, sunlight. Why not be happy? It's precisely this artificial program that has led people into such a state.
But why?
Why did they do this? Because they feed specifically on negative emotions. They absolutely don't want people to be calm, joyful, or to live their lives happily. Otherwise, there would be no food left for them. The thing is, every human soul, as well as any soul that has come here with good intentions, there are extraterrestrial souls who have come here to help humanity. These souls have a contract with the earth, and according to this contract, souls can receive infinite energy from the earth and nature. And we can also release all negativity into the earth. There are techniques for this. Reptilian souls and souls from other dark civilizations do not have this contract. They are, you could say, parasites here, and they are deprived of the ability to draw energy from the earth. That's why they can only feed off other people. And since their vibrations are low, they can only feed through negative emotions. They simply can't feed in any other way. They don't even have a choice.
Do such people know that they are, say, reptilian or maybe a grey?
Most of them do, at least those who are significant figures. So I've looked into many of them. Yes, they know who they are, they know their nature, and they live according to it.
How can we avoid giving them our energy?
Stop experiencing these negative emotions. Stop being negative and shift your attention to something else. There is a very ancient philosophy called Hermeticism, which contains 7 principles. These principles are much older than psychology. You could even say that psychology originated from them. And here's an important principle. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. In other words, whatever you focus your attention on. And if you're already being negative, it's impossible to just say, stop being negative. That won't help. But you can redirect your attention to the opposite. What's good about this? What is good right now in general? What positive thing can I focus on instead? And when we redirect our attention in another direction, like what can I do to make things better, right? That's already at least something constructive. We've redirected our energy and now we're taking action to make things better instead of just sitting around complaining and being negative.
Can a person like that be around you? So, for example, it could be someone's husband, someone's wife, or someone's boss.
Absolutely, it's very possible. In fact, reptilian souls often seek out people with strong energy, because a person with strong energy can also be negative. And it could very well be a husband, especially if the relationship is toxic like that. You know, as they say, there are narcissists and abusers who deliberately push people to the edge and actually enjoy it when someone is in hysterics or overwhelmed by negative emotions. That's one example of these reptilian entities. They need to push others to the point where they're upset, in tears, or having a breakdown. That's when they're happy, when they enjoy themselves, when they feed off it and get energy.
So how do you check if someone, say a husband, is like that? Should you sprinkle him with holy water or press a silver spoon to his forehead while he's sleeping?
The very best way to truly check is to try to actively catch that precise moment. The entire process when it genuinely starts, when he actually begins, so to speak, to carefully approach his meal, when he truly starts provoking, starts triggering those negative emotions. Try, instead of your usual automatic reaction, to just simply smile or perhaps even laugh, and then carefully watch his subsequent reaction.
What kind of reaction should you look for to understand if he really is one?
In my experience and observation, if you do this 3 times, that person will just go somewhere else.
For this reason, half of the female viewers won't do it.
But if you like being provoked, well, he'll just go look for someone else to push to the limit.
And in all of this, there are also other civilizations, angels, mentors, curators. So are they present or not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are very advanced, highly developed, benevolent civilizations that oversee the earth. Many figures who are considered ancient gods are actually representatives of various extraterrestrial civilizations. For example, the gods of Egypt. They never lived on Earth. They always made contact, you could say in modern terms, through channeling and conveyed their messages. Even now, there are civilizations that have their own conduits here, transmitting energy and messages. I myself am one of these conduits. And the reason I even started my work, my project, is because I was strongly asked to do so. I was asked because the world needs conduits right now, especially in this particular period. And I was asked to seek out all the ancient souls, all souls with great potential, all bright extraterrestrial souls who possess the ability to channel pure energy through themselves, who can create an entire network of light on our planet. I was asked to find them and help them unlock these abilities, which is essentially what I do.
Does what happens to the planet depend on people, or does it just depend on which group a person ends up in?
The planet will be fine in any case. Our planet is a very wise, one could say ancient goddess who possesses a power that none of the beings living on the planet have. We can only decide for ourselves that is where we want to go. Do we want to go up or do we want to plummet down rapidly? You just need to understand that this is accelerating. If before you could somehow hang around in the middle, now that's not going to work. That is, either you will soar upward or you will fall down like a stone. But I want to talk about the advantages in general. Really, very few people talk about this. What is the difference between a person who lives on low vibrations and someone who lives on high vibrations? For example, we've often heard from other speakers that thoughts are material, that it's enough to wish for something and it will come true, that we can manifest anything we want. And this is both true and not true at the same time. Why? Because this is only true for those who live on high vibrations. The higher a person's vibrations, the easier it is for them to materialize their desires. And for someone on low vibrations, it's almost impossible to do this. That's exactly why, whenever someone makes such claims, like in the movie The Secret, or the law of attraction in the West, where they say thoughts are material, or you should make a vision board, some people always say, okay, wow, this really works, while others say, no, this doesn't work at all, you're all frauds. And it's precisely for this reason, the difference in vibrations. And what's happening now is that this division is going to become even greater. That is, those who are on high vibrations will rise even higher, and everything will manifest for them even better. Material desires, creative aspirations, spiritual goals, they will unlock their potential, their power, their strength even more. And those who are falling will have an even harder time succeeding. That is, they will have even less luck, less fortune, and circumstances will turn against them even more. All those things they complain about will only get much worse, many times over.
We have just discussed in detail what you absolutely shouldn't do at the precise moment when this particular flare begins. But the crucial question is, what exactly should you actively do when such an event genuinely happens? I truly don't know. Perhaps one could consider performing some ancient rituals, engaging in deep meditation, or undertaking some specific spiritual practices.
Well, first of all, I urge you, yes, you absolutely need to do practices. You always need to work on yourself. You must cleanse your light energy body. That's essential. But what else should you do? First of all, you need to reach a level of honesty with yourself. And even before any kind of flash happens, right now, think about what you truly want, what you actually like, and how you want things to be. And try to write this down as clearly as possible, visualize it, acknowledge it, and accept it. And when that flash happens, you need to keep these intentions, so to speak, in an active state, so that what you want is realized. Not what you don't want, but what you do want. You know how they say the universe doesn't understand the word not. In reality, the universe doesn't care. It's our subconscious that doesn't understand the word not. That's why you need to formulate a clear desire in your subconscious. What you want, how you want things to be, in every possible detail. And it's important not to make a mistake here. What do I really want? What do I truly like? If it turns out that way, I really do like it. You need to create your own branch of the future, the one you want to end up in. And there's a high probability that it will work.
A critical moment. Are there any... Should I pray? Is this something I need to do because it feels so scary?
Of course, I use my own techniques when I'm going through some kind of crisis, but if that's not the case, honestly, praying is also a good option. You just need to pray sincerely, and you need to pray directly to God, the source. I would even say to the God within yourself, not to some abstract figure, an old man or a cloud. To God as the unity of life, as the super consciousness, recognizing yourself as a part of this super consciousness. If you can enter such a state, feel yourself as part of everything, acknowledge God within yourself, and sincerely formulate your intention, it will work.
After the 23rd of the month, the fundamental laws and the very matrices of our reality will profoundly change. The matrix itself will receive a significant new firmware, a crucial new update.
The laws cannot change, they are as they have always been. It's just that before we could ignore these laws because everything developed very slowly. But now everything will develop quickly, and we won't be able to ignore these laws.
They say there will be no more karma.
As a law, karma will still exist. It's just that karma will manifest differently. For those who can free themselves from negative karma, it simply won't exist for them. They will be free and will have the choice to stay or return to their own civilizations. For those who do not free themselves from karma, of course it will remain. Where else would it go?
So, roughly speaking, many of us will be forced to cleanse ourselves there, but you could just as easily go out the next day and, I don't know, step on an anthill. But
karma isn't about you necessarily doing something bad and then karma comes to get you for it. That's more like the concept of sin, which is related to the main Abrahamic religions. Karma is something different. The way I see karma and how I work with it is, for example, if you have a conflict with someone, say a big conflict with another person, and in that conflict there were hurtful words, some emotional pain, maybe even some kind of energetic attacks. And so there's this lingering residue left from all of it on both sides. That's karma, this residue that remains. And this residue needs to be let go, meaning you need to forgive the person, as people commonly say. But it's not just about saying, let's keep being friends, let's keep living together. That's not what it's about. It's specifically about letting go of that residue itself. This is what people don't understand. And when we talk about karma, it means we need to let go of all this baggage from past lives, pain, feelings of guilt, shame, resentment, anger, misunderstanding, and rejection. That's what needs to be released. Because any action is merely a consequence of emotion. People usually do bad things mostly out of emotion. Very few people consciously and deliberately go out to kill someone. Most of the time, people always think they're doing something either for the better, or they're taking revenge, or they're restoring justice.
if there are souls that are aligned with the light, there are also souls that are aligned with the darkness, right? And do all of these individual souls truly understand exactly whose side they are actually on?
The dark ones understand very well whose side they're on. And honestly, you could say that the dark ones don't even have a choice. They are dark and they live as best they can. It's like a crocodile. That is, it's a crocodile. If you get close to it, it will eat you. Not because it's an evil or a good crocodile, it's just its nature. Light souls have a choice. And that's why light souls are often chaotic. Because they have a lot of emotions. And they can behave in very different ways. That is, they can do something incredibly noble. They want to help people. Then something upsets them and they can get angry. Then they might feel guilty. Because of this, they might start behaving a certain way. For example, they might start drinking alcohol. Then they might decide to stop. In other words, light souls are often in chaos. That's what sets them apart. They are in chaos precisely because of this. Because they have a choice. Because they have a lot of emotions. Dark ones, as a rule, are cold. They have no emotions. It's very easy for them. They are calculating. If, for example, they know they need to feed, they will act like a crocodile. That means waiting for their prey. When it comes really quite close, they will then do absolutely everything in their power to fully consume it.
And so the dark ones will start to leave?
The dark ones will definitely start to leave. And we will witness this. I think we will all witness them leaving. First of all, it will become increasingly difficult for them to feed. Secondly, the environment itself will become very uncomfortable for them. And they will consciously or subconsciously make the decision to leave.
Will the dark ones, those who currently hold very high ranks, also depart, so to speak?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They will leave. And all the chaos we are seeing in politics right now is like a whirlwind that brings change. And this whirlwind will definitely sweep away certain figures. And because the entire political field is so destabilized, no one will even notice it. Because when everything is stable for centuries, century after century, following a certain order, any change would be very noticeable. In fact, this chaos was created precisely to bring about these changes. It's not noticeable.
Are there mistakes that even a very bright soul can make that would turn it dark and become irredeemable?
No. A bright soul cannot become dark, but it can lower its vibration. The most common mistake I see among bright souls is that they constantly devalue themselves. Like, nothing works out for me, or I can't do anything. No, I have no abilities, no talents. And by doing this, they just keep pushing themselves down, lower and lower. Instead of, say, being proud of what you've accomplished, there's this constant feeling of guilt, shame, feeling worthless, the habit of devaluing yourself. It's just the scourge of all bright souls. Bright soul, please, stop doing this. Stop devaluing yourself. Stop thinking of yourself as worthless, please.
If the soul is bright, it will transition no matter what.
As long as it doesn't lower its vibration.
And how do we lower our vibration?
Through negative emotions, through fears, first and foremost, through guilt, through shame, a negative background, constant emotional anxiety. All of this lowers it.
Many people also talk about how everyone supposedly has some kind of energetic contracts, things like curses, hexes, all those kinds of stories. They can also keep a person from transitioning.
Yes, that will also have an effect. But what are contracts really? What is a curse? In other words, it's what I just described. That is, over many lifetimes, over centuries and millennia, there have been conflicts between people. A conflict can be either verbal or physical. For example, a fight or a murder. It could be betrayal or disappointing someone in their best feelings. There can also be a magical conflict. Different means are used after all. And all of this is part of negative karma. Negative magical influences are also, of course, part of this karma. We must free ourselves from all of this because it will keep us in the old world and in low vibrations. By the way, I want to let everyone know that I have prepared a gift, a 3-day channeling marathon. And during this marathon, on the very first day, we will be cleansing ourselves from negative magical influences. In fact, over all 3 days, I will be conducting many powerful practices. I will use my strongest tools to cleanse negative karma and to unlock your inner potential and super abilities. I will talk about what super abilities are and what opportunities they can offer to someone who unlocks them. Each day will feature a great practice, and everyone who joins will gain a lot of enjoyment and benefit.
The link is below this video, so be sure to check it out.
In fact, the outcome of this transition and how exactly it will end is not predetermined and largely depends on the guides who are already present on this earth. Let me explain who these guides are. Souls with very high potential, as well as souls from civilizations that are more advanced in terms of vibration, have come to this earth voluntarily or have been specially sent here. And there are quite a few of these souls on earth, but many of us have been here for so long, for such a long time, and there has been so much misunderstanding from people, so many conflicts, that these souls have become frightened, burdened with enormous negative karma, and many of them refuse to acknowledge their abilities, refuse to awaken, and refuse to be guides. I can say this: pay close attention to the signs of such souls within yourself. If you are such a soul, then the first thing you will most likely receive are signs. At the very least, these are repeating numbers on clocks, strange coincidences when you think of something and then someone seems to come up and give you the answer. Or you see this answer, for example, written somewhere, or in a text, or in a song. If you are a sensitive person, an empath who feels the pain of others, who can sense another person's mood, even if that person is smiling, you can still feel that they are in a bad mood. If you are a person sensitive to the energy of places, if you can walk into a room and tell whether it is a good or bad place, or sense if there was a conflict there, as if you could cut the tension with a knife, if you have the ability to heal animals or people with your hands, if animals are drawn to you, if people often come to you for advice, if you have prophetic dreams, if you often predict the future, that is, you say something and it comes true. If, for example, someone calls you and you already know who it is before you even look at your phone. If someone comes to see you and you already sense who it is before they arrive. All of this means that you are an extraordinary soul, that you have super abilities, that you are a clairvoyant healer. In other words, you are a conduit, a channel for information and energy from subtle realms. And the main function of conduits is not even that they all have to become helping practitioners or provide some kind of services. No. The point is that conduits must awaken. They must cleanse themselves of negative karma, regain their frequency, and begin to fulfill their mission to channel, and not necessarily information, but energy, because information is secondary, energy is primary. And if enough conduits awaken, they will create a vast network of light. And then, perhaps even all of humanity can be saved and transitioned thanks to the conduits, who will compensate for the low vibrations present in people. And there's no need to do anything special, to preach, to broadcast, or to try to convince people otherwise. We simply need a sufficiently large number of conduits who will channel this light. And that might be enough. That's why I want to address all the conduits. Please stop devaluing yourselves, stop being afraid, and start shining, carrying this light. That's what you came to this planet for.
It's like you go to check the news and you just want to hide under the bed or regret having a phone, or I don't even know. But every time it all looks like some kind of cartoon. Look at us, we're like Jerry. And here you go again with schizophrenia in your news feed. How are you supposed to stay calm, sober, I don't know, without panic, without anything in all of this? Should we just turn off our empathy, not care about wars happening somewhere? Is that what the higher powers expect?
Actually, I have a very interesting answer to that. I recently took a trip to a place of power. This is a place of power in Australia. It's called Ayers Rock, or Uluru. It's a huge red mountain in the center of the continent. And from an esoteric point of view, it's considered the planet's first chakra. And it's the very first of the power spots that was created on the planet. It is associated with the Lemurian race, which lived on our planet even before the Atlanteans. And there I did some really cool channelings on this very topic. And I received the insight that a major problem for modern people is that we perceive the entire surrounding world as dangerous. It's not just about wars. Even in general, people perceive nature as dangerous. If I mention Australia, people immediately start talking about spiders and snakes. Almost everyone today has some kind of phobia towards animals or insects. People are afraid of depths, heights, water, fire. Absolutely normal things. But it wasn't always like this. I was shown that during the Lemurian civilization, people lived and felt differently. They didn't feel separate from everything else. They had an understanding, you could say, of a unified life, that there is the universe, there is the planet, and that all of this is life. A person considered themselves a part of this life. They didn't see themselves as separate, so they didn't perceive the world as dangerous. Why is it like this now? This is also, in a very significant way, a heartfelt call for all people to always remember this truly fundamental and very basic setting. It's not something new. It's actually a long-forgotten old truth. At this place of power, I received a code. You could say it's an ancient code from our Mother Earth with which we can unlock this state. Today, I would like to do a practice for everyone. To pass this code on to you, the code from the place of power Uluru, I ask everyone to please pay close attention to me now and find a very comfortable and relaxed position for your entire body. Begin to fully relax now. We will breathe deeply together, taking a slow, deep breath into the expansive belly, and as you gently exhale, release all tension and any lingering stress. Another inhale and exhale. Take one more deep, calming breath in, allowing all the accumulated tension and stress to gently and completely leave your entire body, releasing it fully. Imagine, if you will, that you are standing right here with me in the vast, expansive desert, at the very foot of a towering, majestic red mountain. A warm wind is blowing across your face. We are truly connecting with a deeply ancient and sacred place of power, with the vibrant first chakra of our planet, the very essence of our very being. just like in the Earth itself. Feel now that our entire universe is a single unified energy, a singular, vital life force that profoundly permeates absolutely everything that truly exists on this beautiful planet. I am transmitting to you a very important code, an ancient and powerful code of the Lemurian civilization. A long-forgotten, deeply profound feeling, the extraordinary sensation of being an integral part of a single, vast superconsciousness, a truly unified life, the comforting feeling that you are as perfectly comfortable and secure on this beautiful planet as a precious baby in its loving mother's gentle arms. The profound sense that our planet is just as loving a mother to all of us, all of humanity. The sensation of being part of the whole. On this planet, you are completely safe. And everything here is made for you. I want you to truly know and deeply understand that with every passing minute, every single day, each successive week, and every new month that unfolds, this profound and comforting feeling of absolute safety and of truly being an integral part of the entire whole will steadily grow much stronger and will, without a doubt, become your wonderful new and enduring normal. And as you delve deeper into this profound understanding, you will inevitably come to fully realize that the entire world around you is inherently safe, that the world and your very being are inextricably intertwined and truly one, a singular, harmonious entity. Consequently, it will become an utterly natural and deeply ingrained experience for a profound sense of calmness, an unwavering serenity, and an overflowing, unadulterated joy to consistently be your fundamental and most authentic natural state of existence, permeating every aspect of your life. And that means you will most certainly feel quite differently, much happier, significantly calmer, and more at peace with yourself. And you will always, always have plenty of vital energy to truly change your entire life for the absolute better, to fully fulfill all your most cherished dreams, and to genuinely live your very best, most fulfilling life possible. And now I will bring you back. Let's take a deep breath in, exhale, and return to the here and now, but already in a completely new state, full of energy and strength, happy, calm, and balanced. Now you can move around a little and please write what you felt and how your state changed after this short practice. And if you enjoyed my practice, follow the link to the marathon. I have many, many such practices for you, including ones from the power spot at Uluru.
Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Telegram channel, which you can also find via the link below this video.